All right, guys, welcome back to Loan for Cards. This is my podcast. What's been going on? Not much. We got this thing started, and yeah, most people don't know. I lived in California all my life, and recently just moved up from California to the good old Washington State, the city of Seattle. Yeah, so I made this transition, made this move, and so far it's been pretty good, And a lot of people, when I first, decided to move to Seattle, you always think about stuff, and you always think, the Seattle. What is there to do in Seattle? That's what everyone says. And first thing that comes to the mind is, of course, the Space Needle. Well, it's a good attraction. It's a big, tall building. Next thing you think about is Starbucks. Obviously Starbucks and Amazon started here, actually with Microsoft. So the businesses are here, and then when I always think about Seattle, I'm not sure what if you do or not. What really comes to mind, but for me, every time I heard the word Seattle, the movie Sleepless in Seattle always comes to mind. Because this is the movie back in 90 92, I believe, 92 93 that came out, and I love romantic sappy movies, and this is one of the movies that I really enjoy. Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, they made a couple movies together. They also made You Got Mail. But Sleeping in Seattle, watching that movie, I'm like, man, this movie is really cool. And every time I go to Seattle, or moving to Seattle, I always think about the movie. I'm like, oh man, like, so I think about it, and I'm like, maybe I should watch this movie again. Since I've been living here for a month or two, I was like, what, let me watch the movie again, because it's been such a long time since I watched this movie. So I was like, what, let's give this a try. Let's watch this movie. Maybe I'll recognize some of the buildings because I live in near the downtown area where the main Seattle. When people say Seattle, it's the downtown area where the Space Needle is and the Pike Market and things like that. So so I started watching this movie, and I'm like, huh, okay. It starts off. If you okay. By the way, if you never watched the movie Sleepless in Seattle, you want to watch it. Skip this podcast, I guess, and watch the movie, and then come back to it and watch it, and we could talk about the movie, so that way I don't spoil anything for you guys, because everything's gonna be a spoiler here, guaranteed. Because I'm gonna just talk about everything here. So so anyways, the movie starts off. You see Tom Hanks' character and his son. They're at the funeral. Like, I guess you see them sad. Okay, the wife passes away with some kind of cancer, and they live in Chicago right off the bat. So live in Chicago, and he's some kind of architect, things like that. And I'm like, oh, okay. So he's really sad, obviously, and then he suddenly decides that he wants to need a change. He needs a change. So out of all the places, he decides to go to Seattle, just for a different change. And Seattle, especially when you're depressed, like going to Seattle, it wouldn't be the best place to go, because it does rain a lot here. It's very cloudy and things like that. But for some reason, this movie wanted to choose Seattle for some particular reason. Why? Maybe the title "Sleep in Seattle" sounds a little bit more clever than "Sleepless in Chicago," or "Sleepless in San Jose," "Sleepless in New York," "Sleepless in Seattle." I guess S and S sort of makes a little bit more sense. But anyways, like, so they move, and then he's still pretty sad, but the son notices it, that like his dad's really sad, and the kid calls into a radio show, like Dr. Marshall Fieldstone radio show. It's like a love radio show, love relationship advice. First of all, this is a 9-year-old kid. What the hell is he doing listening to a radio show, like, back in the day? And on top of that, they let him on the air. Like, come on, dude. Like, you know how hard it is to get on radio, especially if it's a national radio station. I guess it's a national because the the radio station is located in Chicago, and they're in Seattle, so they have to have a radio that it's a national broadcast radio show. So apparently, he was able to get on to the show to talk to Dr. Marshall because she had a segment about a Christmas wish that they had. So the kid Jonah, he ends up calling to the radio station saying, "Hey, by the way, like my wish for Christmas to have my dad have a new wife. Like, come on, dude, really? Okay, that's pretty sweet." You first think we're like, "Oh yeah, that's really touching. Yeah, that's really cool." And then people listen to him, and then Dr. Marshall's like, "Hey, is your dad there? Can we talk to him?" And the dad picks up the phone. Tom Hanks picks up the phone, and he talks to him, and he starts talking to this person on the air, like a complete stranger, and he tells him how it feels and how his wife is this and that. And then all the people are listening, and then Meg Ryan's character actually caught up, and he's like all listening in on it and all crazy. I'm like, okay, so far it's okay, like they feel for him, and I understand that this is part of the movie, and this is how they built up. So that's that. Then all of a sudden, later on, like they get mail, and then Tom Hanks' character, he's like, "What is this?" He's like, "Oh, it's fan mail. People wanted to hook up with you." It's like, whoa. And then he's like, "How did you get the mail?" The kid's like, "Yeah, they called in and asked for the address." It's like, dude, what the hell? And then so the dad's like, "Okay, yeah, that's like, why did you?" And he didn't really question and be like, "Dude, why are you giving out our address?" Like, hello. I guess in the '90s, I guess they didn't really care about that stuff, so that's fine. We'll let that go. Also, this movie is sort of fake because, like, one of the scenes that when Sam goes home and it's raining really hard, he uses an umbrella, right? And it's been like almost a year and a half. And if you are from Seattle, you are a Seattle resident. People in Seattle does not use umbrellas. Only people that use umbrellas are tourists or the really snobby people that don't want to get wet. They use, but everybody else, they don't use umbrellas. They just get wet and whatever. So, anyways, that he's the movie's not that real because I think by a year and a half, I think he should know the secrets of Seattle and not use an umbrella. Anyways, okay, we'll just continue on with that. So like, I kept on watching the movie. Then I realized, man, this movie really sucks. It's really bad. Like I don't know why I really liked it, but when you like keep on watching it and you think about it, you're like, dude, this Meg Ryan character, she's a freaking psycho. She's a stalker. Like, dude, who the hell? She like works for this reporting agency or like I don't know what kind of company. They never say what company she works. But dude, she ends up like writing him a letter, which by the way, she was not gonna send it, and her friend Becky, whatever, is like supporting her to write it, and she knows that the Meg Ryan character is engaged, right? Has a boyfriend that's engaged, and it still encourages, hey, you should write him the letter. Like, so what she does is like she throws it away, but the friend ends up sending the letter. Like, dude, okay, what is this? Like, this friend, when I think about this, this friend is pretty much like the whole issue of the movie. Like, she's the middle point that makes this movie happen, or makes the Meg Ryan character, like Annie, really psycho. Like, really, like she pushes her to the edge. Like, it's really really crazy. Then so her letter says, hey, let's meet at Valentine's Day on top of the Empire State Building. It sort of sounds so romantic, whatever. But hear this out. This gets really more interesting. So she thinks that the letter did not get sent out. Okay, so that's okay. So she's not really psycho, but she ends up. You know what? I need to meet this guy. I need to meet this guy and the kid. Which, by the way, she lives in Baltimore, which is like right the other side of the country, right? So without knowing that she sent out the letter, she's like, you know what? Let's make this. Let's lie to my fiance. Let's have this friend that works at the agency, which is like her boss, whatever her name is, Becky or something like that, helps us. Hey, by the way, I'm gonna be flying for this media, whatever. So she flies all the way to Seattle to stalk this dude, like watching them play and stuff like that. And then she has the courage to like come up to try to talk to them, but she ends up like freezing in the middle of the road because she saw another girl, which obviously was her sister, that she thought it was the girl that she was dating. And she says hi, and he says hello, and then she leaves. Okay? You're like, okay, so there's a stalker. And she goes back home and tells, Becky, her friend, hey, I couldn't say anything. All I could say is hello. And then they're like, oh, here's a letter. And she's like, what is this letter? She's like, oh, I sent you a letter anyway. She's like, what? Sent you a letter? Yeah. So I sent you a letter. It's like, okay. So she reads the letter. Says, oh, well, it doesn't matter anyways because like I couldn't say anything, so it doesn't matter. So then you're like, okay, all right, this movie is sort of like, okay, we're gonna continue on with this, and that's fine. So she goes, she like contemplates, oh yeah, his fiance is Walter, whatever his name was. Oh, so great, he's wonderful, blah blah blah. I'm just having cold feet, blah blah blah. And on Valentine's Day, what happens? She like sits in a restaurant, looks outside. She's an Empire State Building. She's like, oh, this is a sign. Maybe I should go up there. Maybe they are there, waiting for me. By the way, the kid gets a free flight ticket from his friend, which is still 9 years old, books him a flight by himself to go to the Empire State Building. So that's the more crazy part of it, right? So, anyways, so yeah, so they end up, he ends up going up there, doesn't see there. The dad finds out that he left, Jonah left to find himself, and he gets on a flight, goes to there to find him, finds a kid, they leave. Annie, she goes up to the Empire State Building by telling her fiance, you know what, it's not gonna work out. The dude's like, all right, cool. Like, what dude is gonna be just so chill? Be like, all right, I guess it's not gonna work out. So you're gonna meet this dude. She like confesses everything to him. He's like, yeah, dude. Like, okay, go ahead. Hopefully he's there, dude. Like, really? Like 2020, this stuff's not gonna happen like this. And he was cool about it. He's like, yeah, sure. Oh, there's a ring back. Okay, go ahead. Peace out later. Like, he doesn't get mad or anything. I was like, yeah, that's pretty crazy. So, anyways, they fall, they they meet on top of the thing, and he's like, oh, it's you, because he saw her before when she was in the middle of the road about to get killed. Like, the mind thing's like, dude, like, she's a stalker. Like, she's a stalker the whole time. You know, you have to think about it. It's like, oh, this is the same dude. This is Annie. So she's the one that visited him to stalk him, and now it's there. Like, wouldn't you want to be like, think like the Tom Hanks character is like, yeah, this lady is pretty crazy, yeah, pretty trippy. But, anyways, what do I know? So, anyways, the movie is really really crazy. I think, it could be. You could do a little twist under the movie, and you could pretty much make this a horror flick, like horror suspense flick, because she can end up like killing him. It's like, why didn't you meet me at top of the Empire State Building? She could have went crazy and killed him. But well, what do you know? That's the movie. Yeah, so if you like the movie, you probably didn't see it recently, go ahead and watch it again, and you'll see how crazy of a stalker she is. It's pretty nuts. But yeah, this podcast thing that I'm doing, I'm just showing you. I don't know why I really like went deep with that, with the Sleepless in Seattle, but I just thought it was funny because it's part of my real life because I am in Seattle now. The life here is a little bit different from I'm used to. I lived in Bay Area, California all my life. Um, the life here is a little bit different. A lot of public transportation, I guess. If you live in the city, like in San Francisco, it's like that. But I live more of the Bay Area, South Side, like San Jose area, which you really rely on your own transportation, like your car. But here, you can actually get by using the light rail or the bus, things like that. It does rain a lot, like what people say. Um, and it's getting cold too. Like, it's gonna start snowing here too, so it's pretty cool. So this podcast is gonna be, I'm gonna be interviewing, getting guests of like Twitch streamers, some athletes, some card collectors, just everything that I like to do. Like, I'm a poker. Obviously you guys know I'm a poker player. I do poker vlogs. I post videos about slot machines, and I can give you tips, tricks, things about everything, about how to get comps at Vegas, Reno. I love to play craps. Have a instructional video of how to play craps like a beginner, but don't feel like a beginner when you play. I have poker strategies. I'm not a professional poker player, but I can say that I play long enough and well enough to know how to play and how to be successful in playing poker in cash games from 1-3 to 5-10, no limit. I did play at the arena Run It Up this past October. I ended up getting sixth place for $12,000, so that was a pretty good chunk of change. Reno Run It Up will be coming back in April, I believe, this year. April in Reno and the Pepper Mill, so I'll be there for a week or so and playing the main event also. So make sure you guys check that out. Vlogging, it's I decided to not vlog as much anymore because um, it just takes way much more time to do a. You know, if you ask any of the poker vloggers like Andrew Nemi, Brad Owen, Jim Burton, Johnny Vibes, those guys, and they have pretty good high quality vlogs. Those takes a long time to do hand histories and putting graphics up, and I feel my audience that I want to build are not really into that, poker, hand histories, things like that. I think it's more of a talk showy, podcasty type of thing. So I decided to do this. So we'll give this a try, give this a run. My goal of 2020 is to pump out about, I want to shoot for 50 videos, 50 poker, not poker, 50 podcasts. So my goal is to hit 50 podcasts this year. So by the end of 2020 in December, I'll have podcast episode 50 done by then. If I do more, it'd be great. But if I do less, I'll be sort of disappointed because I sort of want to hit that mark, that goal. So I want to get myself busy and do that to do it going. If you have any questions or comments on certain things that you want to see on the podcast, anything related to, sports betting is one of the big things that I like to do also. I like to do anything degenerate. Call me a degen, pretty much. Poker, craps, sports card collecting, like buying and selling on eBay, on Amazon, ComC, things like that. All the links are below on all my social media accounts. So make sure hit me up, send me a message, write me a comment, hit the like and subscribe button, which is right over this way, and just follow me and hit me up on Twitter or whatever, and we can talk about stuff. And if you'd like to be a guest, if you'd like to do certain thing, you want to promote some stuff, if you're a Twitch streamer, YouTube vlogger, poker player, an athlete, just hit me up, get you up, and try to get you exposed, get you some exposure to this internet podcasting stream. So this is the first one. I'll probably look up back onto this one thinking, dude, this is the worst podcast episode I've ever seen in my life. But you know what? You got to start somewhere. Joe Rogan did not become superstar just by not evolving, right? So, all right, guys, I appreciate it. Hit the like and subscribe, and catch you guys later. Peace out.